The ice was everywhere, cold, blue, and endless. Jinho stood at the edge of the drilling site and watched the machines work. They had been digging for 3 weeks now, cutting through layers of frozen water that had been here for thousands of years. The moon of Talvos 9 was nothing but ice and rock, spinning around a gas giant in a forgotten corner of space. Most people thought this place was worthless, but Jinho knew better. He was an archaeologist, and he had spent 10 years studying old records from before humans came to this system. Something was buried here, something important. Jinho, you need to see this. Hana's voice came through his helmet radio. She sounded excited, maybe even scared. He walked carefully across the ice toward the main drill site. His boots made crunching sounds with each step. Above him, the sky was black and full of stars. The gas giant hung like a massive orange ball on the horizon, so big it seemed impossible. Hana was standing near the drill's control panel, staring at a screen. She was young, only 26, but she was the best scanner operator Jinho had ever worked with. Her dark eyes were wide behind her helmet visor. "What is it?" Jinho asked. "The drill just broke through into something, a chamber, a big one." She pointed at the screen. "Look at this. These readings don't make sense. There's empty space down there, but the walls are made of something that's blocking our scanners. And there's a power source, still active after all this time." Jinho felt his heart beat faster. An active power source meant technology. Technology meant someone had built something here. How deep? 200 meters. The chamber is huge, at least 80 meters tall. 80 meters? Jinho couldn't believe it. That's impossible. Why would anyone build something so big? Hana shook her head. I don't know, but there's more. I'm picking up something else. A heat signature. Very faint, but it's there. Something warm is down there. For a long moment, Jinho just stared at the screen. Warm meant alive. Or at least it had been alive once. "Get Daeho. Tell him to bring medical equipment. We're going down." It took 4 hours to set up the cables and prepare the descent. Daeho arrived with a case full of scanning devices and emergency medical supplies. He was older than both of them, almost 50, with gray in his hair and steady hands. He had been a doctor in the military before he joined Jinho's research team. "Are you sure about this?" Daeho asked as they clipped onto the cables. "We don't know what's down there." "That's why we have to look," Jinho said. They lowered themselves into the hole the drill had made. The ice walls glowed blue around them as their lights swept back and forth. Down and down they went, into the frozen darkness. Jinho counted the meters. 50, 100, 150. At 190 meters, the ice ended. Their lights hit metal instead, smooth silver metal that reflected their lights back at them. "This is it," Hana whispered. They found the entrance 10 meters to the left. A door, perfectly circular, sealed shut. Jinho ran his gloved hand across its surface. The metal was cold, but not frozen. There were symbols carved into it, writing he had never seen before. "Can we open it?" he asked. Hana pulled out a handheld device and pressed it against the door. After a moment, she nodded. "There's a control panel here. It's still working. I think I can activate it." The door opened with a hiss. Air rushed past them, stale and old, but not frozen. There was atmosphere inside. The door slid back into the wall, revealing darkness beyond. They stepped through together, their lights pushing back the shadows. The chamber was exactly as big as Hana had said. Maybe bigger. The ceiling disappeared into darkness above them. The walls curved away on both sides, covered in panels that glowed with dim blue light. And in the center of the chamber, suspended in the air by nothing they could see, was a woman. Jinho stopped walking. He couldn't breathe for a moment. She was huge, impossibly huge. Even lying down in the air like she was sleeping, she had to be at least 30 meters long. Her hair was black and hung down toward the floor in a frozen wave. She wore a simple white suit that covered most of her body. Her skin was pale like she had never seen the sun. "Oh my God," Hana whispered. Daiho moved forward slowly, holding up his scanner. "I'm reading life signs. Very faint, but they're there. She's alive. How is she alive?" Jinho walked closer, tilting his head back to see her face. Her features were Korean, he realized, the same as his own people back on Earth. High cheekbones, a small nose, lips that were slightly parted. But there was something covering her eyes, a smooth band of dark metal wrapped around her head like a blindfold. "Look at this," Hana said. She was standing near a control panel on the wall. "This is a stasis system. She's being kept in suspended animation. The power source we detected is running it, and according to this, it's been running for over 200 years. 200 years? Jinho couldn't understand it. But humans only came to this system 50 years ago. How did she get here? Who put her here? I don't know, Hana said quietly. But there's more. Look at these files. They're in Korean. Old Korean, the kind they used back on Earth before the colony ships left. This is human technology. Jinho felt cold despite his heated suit. A human woman, 30 meters tall, frozen in time for 2 centuries, hidden under the ice of a moon that shouldn't have any humans on it. None of it made sense. Should we wake her? Daiho asked. His voice was careful, like he already knew it was a bad idea. We have to report this first, Hana said. This is too big for us to handle alone. But Jinho was looking at the woman's face. Even through the metal band, he could see her expression. She looked sad, scared, like she was having a nightmare she couldn't wake up from. He thought about being alone in the dark for 200 years, trapped, frozen, forgotten. No, he said. We wake her now. Jinho, that's against protocol. I don't care. He turned to Daiho. Can you monitor her life signs? Make sure we don't hurt her? Daiho hesitated, then nodded. Yes, but if something goes wrong, then we deal with it. Jinho moved to the control panel. Hana showed him which buttons to press. His hand shook slightly as he reached out. Are you sure about this? Hana asked one more time. Jinho pressed the button. The blue light in the chamber changed to white. A sound filled the air, like ice cracking. The woman's body dropped slightly, no longer floating. Her chest rose and fell, once, twice. Her fingers twitched. The metal band covering her eyes began to crack. Pieces of it fell away, clattering on the floor far below. Jinho could see her eyes now. They were closed, but her eyelids were moving like she was dreaming. Then her lips moved. Her voice was rough and dry, but it was clear enough. She spoke in Korean, the same language Jinho's grandmother had taught him as a child. Do I still look human? Her eyes opened. They were brown and full of tears. She was looking right at him, this tiny man standing far below her, and she was crying. Jinho didn't know what to say. He didn't know what to do. So he just stood there looking up at her and whispered the only thing he could think of. Yes, you do. The woman's eyes moved slowly, looking around the chamber. She tried to sit up, but her body wouldn't respond properly. Her hand lifted a few inches, then fell back down. A sound came from her throat, something between a gasp and a sob. Easy, Daiho called up to her. His voice echoed in the huge space. You've been asleep for a long time. Your body needs time to remember how to work. She turned her head toward the sound of his voice. It took her several seconds, like she was moving through thick water. Her eyes focused on the 3 small people far below her. Confusion crossed her face. Where? Her voice was rough. She swallowed and tried again. Where am I? You're on Talvos 9, Jinho said. A moon in the outer colonies. Do you remember how you got here? The woman closed her eyes. Her face twisted with pain, but not physical pain. The kind that came from trying to remember something that didn't want to be remembered. My name is Mirai, she said slowly. Mirai Song, I was in Seoul, on Earth. There were scientists. They said they needed volunteers for something important, something to save humanity. Save humanity from what? Hana asked. I don't remember. Mirai opened her eyes again. Tears ran down her cheeks, each one as big as Jinho's hand. There was an experiment. They put me in a machine. It hurt so much. Everything hurt. And then I was big. Too big. I was screaming, but no one would help me. They just kept writing things down and talking like I wasn't even there anymore. She lifted her hand again, this time managing to bring it up to her face. She looked at it like she had never seen it before. This isn't my hand. My hand was small. I could hold a pencil. I could type on a keyboard. This. What is this? Jinho felt something tight in his chest. He had seen a lot of strange things in his years of digging through old ruins, but he had never seen someone wake up and realize they weren't themselves anymore. Daeho, he said quietly. Scan her. Tell me what she is. Daeho was already working, his medical scanner pointing up at Mirai's massive form. He was quiet for a long time, reading the data. His face grew more troubled with each passing second. She's human, he finally said, but modified, heavily modified. Her cells have been reinforced with artificial proteins. Her bones are laced with some kind of metal alloy. Her nervous system has been enhanced with biosynthetic networks. Someone rebuilt her at the genetic level. Can you change her back? Mirai's voice was desperate. Please. I want to be normal again. I want to be me again. Daeho looked up at her and Jinho could see the sadness in his eyes. I'm sorry. The changes are permanent. They're built into every cell of your body. Even if we had the technology to reverse it, which we don't, the process would kill you. Mirai made a sound that wasn't quite a scream. It was worse than a scream. It was the sound of something breaking inside. She covered her face with her huge hands and started to cry. Really cry. Her shoulders shook, and her breath came in gasps. How long? She asked between sobs. How long was I asleep? Jinho didn't want to tell her, but she deserved the truth. 212 years. Mirai stopped crying. She just stopped, like someone had turned off a switch. Her hands slowly lowered from her face. She stared at nothing. 200 years, she whispered. My mother, my father, my little brother. They're all gone, Jinho said gently. I'm sorry. Everyone you knew is gone. For a long time, no one said anything. The only sound was the hum of the machines keeping the chamber powered. Jinho watched Mirai's face and saw something die in her eyes. Some last bit of hope. Why did you wake me up? She asked. Her voice was flat now, empty. You should have left me sleeping. At least in the dark I had dreams. I could pretend I was still normal, still human. You are human, Jinho said. Mirai laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. Look at me. I'm a monster, a freak. They made me into something that shouldn't exist. You're a person who was hurt, Jinho said. That doesn't make you a monster. You don't understand. Mirai looked down at him. You can't understand. You're still you. Your body still works the way it's supposed to. You can hold things without breaking them. You can walk through doors. You can hug someone without crushing them. I can't do any of those things anymore. I'm not human. I'm just big. Hana had been working at the control panel during this conversation. Now she looked up. Jinho, I found something. Data files. A lot of them. What kind of files? Project files. This place wasn't just a stasis chamber, it was a storage facility. For records, everything about what they did to Mirai is here. Jinho walked over to look at Hana's screen. The files were old, written in a style of Korean that was barely used anymore, but he could read enough to understand. His blood went cold. Project Titan, he read aloud. Authorized by the United Earth Defense Council. Purpose: creation of super soldiers to combat existential threat to human survival. 12 volunteers selected. Genetic and physical modification to increase size, strength, and durability by a factor of 30. 12? Mirai's voice came from above. There were others like me? Jinho kept reading. Subjects 2 through 12 experienced psychological breakdown during transformation, terminated for safety reasons. Subject 1, Mirai Song, showed stable mental response, placed in long-term stasis pending need for deployment. The words terminated hung in the air like poison. They killed them, Mirai whispered. They killed everyone else. Why didn't they kill me? Because you survived the process, Deho said. You stayed sane when the others didn't. That made you valuable. Valuable. Mirai said the word like it tasted bad. They turned me into a weapon and then put me in a box for 200 years because I was valuable. Hana was still reading through the files. There's more here. Information about why they created Project Titan. There was an alien species approaching Earth, something called the Vryn. They were huge, and Earth's normal weapons weren't working against them, so they tried to make soldiers who could fight them on equal terms. Did it work? Jinho asked. Did the Vryn attack? According to this, no. The aliens came to the edge of the solar system and then just left. No one knows why. Project Titan was declared unnecessary. All subjects were supposed to be terminated, but someone must have hidden Mirai here instead. Jinho looked up at Mirai. She was staring at her hands again, turning them over slowly. They were going to kill you, he said. Someone saved your life by putting you in stasis. Some life, Mirai said bitterly. Alone in the dark for 2 centuries, everyone I loved dead and gone. My body turned into something from a nightmare. You call that saving me? You're alive, Jinho said. That matters. Does it? Mirai's eyes met his. Tell me honestly, when you look at me, what do you see? Do you see a person, or do you see a monster? Jinho thought about his answer carefully. He could lie and say he saw only a person, but Mirai would know it was a lie. She deserved better than that. I see both, he said. I see someone who's been hurt badly, someone who has every right to be angry and scared. But I also see someone who's still fighting, still asking questions, still hoping things can be different. Monsters don't do that. Monsters don't cry about losing their families. They don't worry about whether they're still human. You're asking that question because you already know the answer. You just don't believe it yet. Mirai was quiet for a long moment. Then, very softly, she said, I'm so tired. I've been asleep for 200 years and I'm still tired. Then rest, Deho said. We're not going anywhere. We'll stay with you. Why? Mirai asked. Why would you stay with me? You don't know me. I could be dangerous. Are you going to hurt us? Jinho asked. No. Then you're not dangerous. You're just someone who needs help, and we help people. That's what humans do. Mirai closed her eyes. More tears slipped down her cheeks. I want to believe that. I want to believe I'm still human. But every time I move, every time I feel how big I am, I remember what they did to me. I remember that I'm not supposed to exist. Jinho pulled out a small platform from his pack, a folding metal plate used for setting up equipment. He extended it and sat down on it, making himself comfortable. Then we'll remind you, he said, every day, if we have to, until you believe it yourself. Hana and Deho looked at each other, then at Jinho. Hana smiled slightly and pulled out her own platform. Looks like we're staying. Deho sighed, but he was smiling too. You're all crazy, but fine. Someone has to keep you alive. They sat together in that huge chamber, 3 small people and 1 giant woman who didn't know if she was human anymore. Outside, the ice moon turned silently through space. The stars watched and said nothing. And for the first time in 200 years, Mirai's song was not alone. 3 days had passed since they woke Mirai. 3 days of talking, of slowly helping her learn to move her body again, of listening to fragments of memories that came back in pieces. Jinho had set up a small camp inside the chamber, bringing down supplies and equipment. He told headquarters they had found an interesting archaeological site and needed more time to study it. He didn't mention Mirai. He knew he should report it. But every time he thought about calling it in, he looked at Mirai and saw the fear in her eyes. She was just starting to believe she might be worth something. The last thing she needed was for the military to show up and treat her like a weapon again. But secrets have a way of getting out. Jinho was sitting on a platform near Mirai's shoulder, showing her pictures of Earth on his tablet. She had been asking about Seoul, about how the city had changed in 200 years. Her eyes grew wide when she saw how tall the buildings had become. "It's beautiful," she said softly. "I wish I could see it. Really see it. But I'd probably step on half the city just trying to walk down the street." "Maybe they could build you special paths," Hana suggested. She was sitting nearby, eating a ration bar. "Wide enough for you to walk without hitting things." "That's nice to imagine," Mirai said, "but it won't happen. People will be afraid of me." Before anyone could respond, an alarm started blaring from Hana's equipment. She jumped up and ran to her scanner station, her face going pale as she read the screen. "We have ships incoming," she said. "Big ones. Military signatures. They're entering orbit right now." Jinho's stomach dropped. "How many?" "6 warships, and they're launching dropships, headed straight for our position." Mirai sat up quickly, and the sudden movement made her dizzy. She steadied herself against the chamber wall, her hand leaving a print in the frost. "They're coming for me." "You don't know that," Jinho said, but his voice wasn't convincing. "Yes, I do." Mirai looked down at him. "The stasis pod sent a signal when you woke me. I saw it in the files Hana found, an automatic alert to military command. They know I'm awake, and they're coming to finish what they started 200 years ago." Daiho was already packing up medical equipment, his hands moving fast. "We need to evacuate, get to the surface. Maybe we can—" "No!" Jinho stood up. "We're not running. We're not leaving Mirai." "Jinho, be reasonable," Daiho said. "If the military wants her, we can't stop them. We're archaeologists, not soldiers." "Then we'll talk to them, make them understand." Hana shook her head. "You think they'll listen? She's classified military property. They have legal authority to—" "She's not property," Jinho snapped. "She's a person." The sound of ships landing echoed through the ice above them. Boots, lots of boots, running. Mirai pulled her knees up to her chest, making herself as small as she could, which wasn't very small. "You should go," she told Jinho. "Get out of here before they arrive. I don't want you getting in trouble because of me." "I'm already in trouble," Jinho said. "Might as well make it worth it." Soldiers poured into the chamber. At least 30 of them, all in combat armor, all carrying weapons. They spread out in a defensive formation, their guns pointed up at Mirai. An officer walked in behind them, her helmet removed. She was in her 40s, with short black hair and eyes that had seen too much combat. "I am Commander Somin Baek of the Special Recovery Division," she announced. Her voice echoed off the walls. "Under Military Authority Code 77 Alpha, I am here to recover classified military asset designation Titan 1. All civilian personnel are ordered to evacuate immediately." Jinho stepped forward, closer to the soldiers. "Titan 1 has a name. Her name is Mirai Song, and she's not going anywhere." Somin looked at him like he was a bug she was deciding whether to step on. "You must be the archaeologist, Kim Jinho. You're in violation of about 15 different laws right now." the least of which is failure to report a classified discovery. She's not a discovery, Jinho said. She's a person who was hurt, who deserves to be treated with respect. That thing, Somin pointed up at Mirai, is a weapon created by the United Earth Defense Council. It is military property and will be secured. I'm right here, Mirai said quietly. You can talk to me instead of about me. Somin ignored her and focused on Jinho. You have 10 minutes to gather your equipment and leave. After that, anyone still in this chamber will be arrested. No, Jinho said. Somin's hand moved to her weapon. That wasn't a request. Commander, wait. Deho stepped forward, his hands raised peacefully. We're scientists. We just want to understand what happened here. Mirai has been helpful and cooperative. She hasn't threatened anyone. Surely there's room for negotiation. There is no negotiation with military assets, Somin said. It goes back into stasis or it gets terminated. Those are the only options. It? Mirai's voice was louder now. I'm an it? You're a failed experiment that should have been disposed of 2 centuries ago. Somin finally looked up at her. Someone made a mistake by keeping you alive. We're here to correct that mistake. The temperature in the chamber seemed to drop. Mirai's hands curled into fists. Jinho could see her body trembling, and he wasn't sure if it was from fear or anger. Jinho, Mirai said softly, get your people and go. Please, I don't want anyone dying because of me. See? Somin smiled. It understands. Now leave. No. Jinho pulled out his tablet and started recording. I'm broadcasting this to every news network in human space. Let them see how the military treats people. Somin's face went hard. Stop that immediately. Why? Jinho kept the camera pointed at her. Afraid people will see the truth? Mirai Song was a volunteer. She gave herself to Project Titan to save humanity. And this is how you repay her? By calling her a thing? By threatening to kill her? You don't understand the situation, Somin said. Then explain it to me. Explain to everyone watching. Jinho turned the camera to Mirai. Tell them why this woman deserves to die. Mirai was crying again, but she held herself still, letting the camera see her face. She looked directly at the lens and said, My name is Mirai Song. I'm from Seoul. I was 24 years old when they changed me. I had a family, I had friends, I had dreams. They took all of that away, and now they want to take my life too. Please, if anyone is watching this, please help me. The broadcast went viral in minutes. Across 12 star systems, people stopped what they were doing to watch. They saw a woman, 30 meters tall, crying and asking for help. They saw soldiers pointing guns at her. They saw a commander who called her it. Somin's radio erupted with messages, orders from headquarters, demands to know what was happening. Public relations officers screaming about the disaster this was becoming. Turn off that camera, Somin ordered. No, Jinho said. I said turn it off. Somin drew her weapon and pointed it at Jinho. Every gun in the chamber swung toward him. Hana screamed. Deho tried to step in front of Jinho, but he was too slow, and then Mirai moved. She was fast, faster than something that big had any right to be. Her hand came down between Jinho and the soldiers, palm flat against the floor, creating a wall between them. The floor cracked under the impact. Frost exploded into the air. Don't hurt them, Mirai said. Her voice was different now, harder. They didn't do anything wrong. This is between you and me. Somin lowered her weapon slowly. She looked up at Mirai with something like respect in her eyes. You're fast. Good reflexes. The modifications worked better than they thought. I don't care about modifications, Mirai said. I care about my friends. Let them go. Friends? Somin seemed genuinely surprised. You've known them for 3 days. 3 days is more than I've had in 200 years. That makes them more important than you could understand. Mirai's hand stayed where it was, protecting the small people behind it. Let them leave safely. Then you can do whatever you want with me. Mirai, no, Jinho called from behind her hand. It's okay, Mirai said. You tried. You gave me 3 days of feeling human again. That's more than I expected. Thank you. Somin holstered her weapon. She looked tired suddenly. You're willing to surrender? If you let them go, yes. Fine. Civilians? You have 30 seconds to evacuate. Hana grabbed Jinho's arm, trying to pull him toward the exit. He resisted, but Daiho helped her. Together they dragged him away while he shouted protests. We'll come back, Jinho yelled to Mirai. We'll find a way to help you, I promise. Mirai watched them go. She was alone again, surrounded by soldiers who saw her as a threat. She lowered her hand slowly and waited for whatever came next. Somin walked closer, close enough that Mirai could have grabbed her easily, but she didn't move. You're not what I expected, Somin said. What did you expect? A monster, something mindless and violent. But you're not, are you? You're just scared. Terrified, Mirai admitted. Somin pulled out a tablet and showed it to Mirai. I need to tell you something. Something classified. Something that changes everything. What? The Vryn are coming back. The aliens that Project Titan was created to fight. They're returning, and when they get here, every human in the galaxy is going to die unless we stop them. Somin looked up at Mirai. We don't want to kill you. We need you to save us. Mirai stared at the tablet in Somin's hand. The images on the screen looked like something from a nightmare. Massive shapes that weren't quite ships and weren't quite living things. Dark and twisted, covered in what looked like bone and flesh growing together into something wrong. What are those? Mirai asked. Vryn bio ships, Somin said. They don't build their technology, they grow it. Everything they use is alive in some way. Ships, weapons, armor. Even their soldiers are just pieces of their fleet that they send down to consume whatever they find. Mirai watched as the images shifted, showing creatures the size of buildings. They walked on too many legs and had mouths that opened in wrong directions. You said they were coming back. When? Our deep space monitors picked them up 3 months ago. They're moving fast, very fast. We estimate they'll reach the outer colonies in 6 weeks, Earth in 10 weeks after that. Somin swiped to another image. This one showed a planet. What was left of a planet. The surface was covered in dark growth, like mold spreading over fruit. This is what they do. They consume entire worlds, break them down, absorb everything, every plant, every animal, every person. It all becomes part of the Vryn. Why did they leave 200 years ago? Mirai couldn't look away from the ruined planet. We don't know for sure. The best guess is that they didn't think we were worth the effort. We were too primitive, too small. They left a message saying they'd come back when we'd grown more. Somin's face was grim. Well, we grew. We spread across 12 star systems, built colonies, created new technologies, and now they've decided we're ready to harvest. Mirai felt cold. And you think I can stop them? Not alone. But you're proof that Project Titan can work. The files from this facility show exactly how they modified you. We can use that data to create more soldiers like you. A whole army of Titans. You want to make more people like me? Mirai's voice rose. You want to hurt more people the way they hurt me? We want volunteers who understand what they're signing up for. People who choose to protect humanity. Somin put the tablet away. You didn't have a choice. They forced it on you. That was wrong, but we can do it right this time. Give people the truth. Let them decide. And if I say no? If I refuse to help? Somin was quiet for a long moment. Then we try to fight the Vryn with conventional weapons. And we lose. Millions of people die, maybe billions. Maybe everyone. That's not fair, Mirai said. You're making me responsible for all of humanity? No. I'm telling you the situation. What you do with that information is up to you. Soman started walking toward the exit, then stopped. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. Sorry for how Project Titan treated you. Sorry for calling you an it. You were right to be angry, but anger won't save us from what's coming. Mirai watched the commander leave. She was alone again in the big chamber, but this time it felt different. Before, she had just been a victim, someone who had things done to her. Now she had a choice to make: help the people who hurt her, or let millions die. It wasn't really a choice at all. On the surface, Jinho was arguing with everyone who would listen. He had been locked in a temporary holding cell for interfering with military operations. Hana and Daiho were in cells nearby. Through the bars, he could see soldiers moving equipment, setting up what looked like a command center. "This is illegal!" Jinho shouted at a guard. "We're civilians. You can't just lock us up." The guard didn't even look at him. "Commander's orders. I want to talk to Soman, now. Commander Beck is busy." "I don't care. I want—" "Let them out." Soman's voice came from behind the guard. She looked tired, like she'd aged 10 years in the last hour. "Unlock the cells." The guard hesitated. "Commander, your orders have changed. Let them out." Jinho stepped out of his cell as soon as the door opened. "Where's Mirai? What did you do to her?" "She's fine, still in the chamber. We're leaving her there for now." Soman gestured for them to follow her. "Walk with me. We need to talk." She led them to a command tent set up near the drill site. Inside, screens showed data, star maps, and images of the Vryn fleet. Jinho stopped when he saw the pictures. His breath caught in his throat. "What is that?" "The end of humanity. If we don't stop it." Soman explained everything: the Vryn returning, the timeline, the plan to create more Titans. She showed them all the classified data, holding nothing back. When she finished, Hana was pale. Daiho sat down heavily on a chair, his hands shaking. Jinho just stared at the screens. "You're telling me that in 6 weeks those things are going to reach our colonies and start eating people?" Jinho asked. "Yes." "And you want Mirai to fight them?" "I want her to help us prepare to fight them. She's not a soldier. Not really. But her biology holds the key to creating Titans who can stand against the Vryn." Soman pulled up another image. 200 years ago, they rushed the process. They didn't understand what they were doing. Half the volunteers died during transformation. The rest went insane. Mirai survived because she was strong. But we can do better now. We can make the process safer. "Safer?" Jinho's voice was sharp. "You're still talking about turning people into giants, about changing their bodies forever. With their permission. With full knowledge of what they're signing up for." Soman looked at him. "I know you care about Mirai, that's obvious. But this is bigger than one person. This is about survival." "She's not a tool," Jinho said. "I know, but she's the only hope we have." Soman brought up a final image, a simulation of what would happen if the Vryn reached Earth without resistance. Cities consumed, people running, screaming, the planet turning black with Vryn growth. "We're not asking her to do this alone. We're asking her to teach others, to help them adjust to what they become. You saw how she is. How human she stayed despite everything. That's rare. That's valuable." Jinho wanted to argue. Wanted to say it was wrong to put that weight on Mirai. But he kept looking at the simulation, kept imagining people he knew, cities he'd visited, all of it disappearing into that black growth. "What do you need from us?" he finally asked. "I need you to talk to her. She trusts you. She'll listen to you in a way she won't listen to me." Soman met his eyes. "I need you to help her understand that this isn't about her being a weapon. It's about her being a teacher, a leader, something better than what they made her to be." Jinho went back down to the chamber. Mirai was sitting with her back against the wall, her knees pulled up. She looked up when she heard him coming. "You're back," she said. There was surprise in her voice. "Of course I'm back." Jinho set up his platform and sat down where she could see him. "Did you think I'd just leave you? I thought they'd make you leave." "They tried. I was very annoying about it." Jinho tried to smile, but it felt wrong. "Soman told me about the Vryn." Mirai nodded slowly. "She showed me pictures. They're horrible." "Yeah." They sat in silence for a while. Finally, Mirai said, "I'm going to help them. I have to." "I know." "You're not going to try to stop me?" Jinho shook his head. "It's your choice. I just want to make sure you're choosing for the right reasons." "What do you mean? Are you doing this because you want to, or because you feel guilty? Because if it's guilt, that's not fair to you. You didn't ask to be made into a Titan. You don't owe humanity anything." Mirai thought about that. "Maybe it's both. Maybe I feel guilty, but I also want to help. Is that okay?" "It's human," Jinho said. "Humans do things for complicated reasons. We help people even when it's hard, even when we're scared. That's one of the things that makes us human. Do you think I can do it? Teach other people to be like me? I think you're stronger than you know. You survived 200 years alone in the dark. You survived waking up to find everything you knew was gone. You survived learning what was done to you. If you can survive all that, you can survive teaching." Mirai wiped her eyes. "Will you stay with me? While I do this? I don't want to be alone again." "I'm not going anywhere," Jinho promised. "Hana and Daiho either. We're with you. Whatever happens. Even if I fail? Even if I can't help them? Even then." Mirai reached down slowly, carefully. Her hand was huge next to Jinho, but she moved it gently, like she was afraid of hurting him. She extended one finger. Jinho understood and put his hand against it. Her skin was warm. "Thank you," she said softly. 2 weeks later, the first volunteers arrived. 20 people from across human space, soldiers and civilians both. People who understood the risks and chose to help anyway. Mirai met each one, talked to them, made sure they understood what would happen to their bodies. And when the transformations began, she was there, holding their hands as best she could, talking them through the pain, reminding them that they were still human, still themselves, no matter how big they became. Some of them cried, some of them screamed, but all of them survived. And when they woke up 30 meters tall, confused and scared, Mirai was there waiting. "It's okay," she told them. "I know you're scared. I was scared too. But you're not alone. We're going to get through this together." And slowly, one by one, they learned to believe her. The Vryn came exactly when the calculations said they would. 6 weeks after Soman had shown Mirai those terrible pictures, the alien fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of human space. They appeared near New Incheon, a colony world with 3 million people, a world that had no military defenses worth mentioning. Jinho watched the battle from the command ship, standing beside Soman at the tactical display. The screens showed the Vryn bioships dropping toward the planet like dark rain. Each ship was massive, bigger than any human vessel. And when they reached the atmosphere, they opened. Things fell from them, not bombs, creatures, living weapons that hit the ground and immediately started consuming everything they touched. Buildings dissolved into black sludge, trees withered and died. People who ran weren't fast enough. The Vryn organisms flowed over them like a wave, and when the wave passed, there was nothing left but more black growth. "How long before the Titans can deploy?" Soman asked. A tactical officer checked his screen. "Transport ships are 5 minutes out. The Titans are ready." Jinho activated his communicator. "Mirai, can you hear me?" Her voice came back, calm despite what was about to happen. "I hear you, we're all ready. How are the others doing?" "Scared, but holding together." There was a pause. "Jinho, if something goes wrong, nothing's going wrong. You're going to go down there, stop those things, and come back. That's the plan." Plans change. "Not this one." Jinho tried to sound confident. "I've seen you train. You're ready. All of you are ready." "I hope you're right." The transport ships were massive, designed specifically to carry Titans. Each one could hold 3 of them, lying down in reinforced cradles. Mirai was in the lead ship with 2 volunteers named Tai Yang and Su-hee. Both had been soldiers before the transformation. Both had trained hard under Mirai's guidance. The ship shook as it entered the atmosphere. Through the viewports, Mirai could see New Incheon burning below. The black growth of the Vryn covered entire neighborhoods like a disease. In the center of it all, the largest Vryn organisms moved. They were the size of skyscrapers, walking on legs that bent in wrong directions, using mouths that opened like flowers to consume everything around them. 30 seconds to deployment," the pilot announced. Mirai looked at Taiyang and Su-hee. "Remember what we practiced. Stay together. Watch each other's backs. And don't try to be heroes. We're here to buy time for the evacuation, not to win the war by ourselves." "Yes, ma'am," they both said. "And stop calling me ma'am. My name's Mirai." The back of the transport opened. Wind roared in. Below, the ground rushed up to meet them. Mirai jumped first, falling 200 meters and landing hard enough to crack the street beneath her feet. Taeyang and Su-hee landed on either side of her, their impacts sending shockwaves through the ground. For a moment, the Vryn organisms paused. They had been consuming a shopping center, pulling people from buildings and breaking them down into nutrients. Now they turned toward the Titans, and Mirai saw something like recognition in their movements. The Vryn remembered. 200 years ago, they had encountered something like this. The largest organism screamed. It wasn't a sound any mouth should make. It was like metal tearing and wind howling and something dying all at once. Then it charged. "Here they come," Taeyang said. He sounded terrified but steady. Mirai met the charge head-on. The organism was fast, its legs moving in a blur. But she was faster. She had spent 200 years in stasis, but before that, she had trained. The muscle memory was still there, buried deep. Her fist connected with what might have been the creature's head. And the impact made a sound like thunder. The organism staggered back. Black fluid sprayed from the wound. But it didn't fall. It adapted, its body shifting, growing armor where she had hit it. "They heal fast!" Su-hee called out. She was fighting her own opponent, a smaller organism that moved like a spider. "We need to hit them harder." Mirai grabbed the organism in front of her, her hands finding purchase in its twisted flesh. It tried to bite her, mouths opening all over its body. She felt teeth scrape against her arm, felt venom burning her skin. But Daeho had been right. The modifications made her tough. The venom hurt but didn't disable her. She lifted the organism over her head and threw it into a building that was already collapsed. The impact crushed it flat. Black fluid pooled around the remains. It didn't get back up. "One down," she said. "About 1,000 to go." The battle raged through the streets of New Incheon. More Titans deployed, dropping from the sky in groups of 3. They formed a defensive line, trying to keep the Vryn from spreading further into the city. Behind them, evacuation ships loaded with civilians lifted off, carrying people to safety. But the Vryn kept coming. For every organism the Titans killed, 2 more appeared. They dropped from the bioships, still hovering overhead, fell like rain onto the city, and immediately joined the attack. Mirai found herself fighting alongside Taeyang against something that looked like a centipede made of bone and muscle. It wrapped around his leg, trying to crush it. She grabbed it behind what passed for its head and pulled, ripping it away from him. Its blood burned her hands, but she didn't let go until it stopped moving. "Thanks," Taeyang gasped. His leg was bleeding where the creature had bitten through his enhanced skin. "Can you stand?" "Yeah, I'm okay." He proved it by crushing another organism under his foot. "But there's too many. We can't hold them all." He was right. The Titans were strong, but they were outnumbered. The Vryn were pushing them back meter by meter. Soon they would break through the defensive line and reach the evacuation ships. Mireille activated her communicator. "Somin, we need air support. Heavy weapons. Something to thin out their numbers." "Negative." Somin's voice came back. "Orbital bombardment would kill the Titans too, and we can't risk hitting the evacuation zones." "Then what do we do?" There was a long pause. Then Somin said, "You hold. Buy us 20 more minutes. That's all we need." 20 minutes. Mireille looked at the mass of Vryn organisms flooding toward them. 20 minutes might as well be forever. "All Titans, on me!" she called into her communicator. "We're falling back to the central plaza. Tighter formation. Make them come through us to reach the civilians." The Titans retreated in good order, fighting as they went. They formed a circle in the plaza, backs to each other, facing outward. 23 Titans against an army of nightmares. The Vryn charged. What followed was the longest 20 minutes of Mireille's life. She fought until her arms felt like they would fall off. She was bitten, clawed, burned with venom. Around her, other Titans fell. Suhi took a hit that tore her leg open. She kept fighting on one knee. Taeyang was pulled down by 3 organisms at once. Mireille and 2 others had to drag them off him. Blood, human and alien, mixed together on the plaza stones. The air smelled like death and chemicals. Mireille's vision started to blur from exhaustion, and then she heard the sound of ships, human ships, coming in fast. The evacuation was complete. The civilians were away. "All Titans, evacuate now," Somin ordered. "Transport ships inbound." But the Vryn had them surrounded. There was no clear path to the pickup zone. They would have to fight their way through. "Can you walk?" Mireille asked Suhi. "I can hobble." Suhi grinned despite the pain. Her teeth were red with blood. "Then let's go. Taeyang, help her. Everyone else form up. We're cutting through them." They charged. Not away from the Vryn, but through them. The aliens tried to stop them. But momentum was on the Titans' side now. They bowled over organisms, stepped on them, threw them aside. Mireille led the way, her fists smashing anything that got too close. The transport ships hovered overhead, their ramps down and waiting. One by one, the Titans jumped up and pulled themselves inside. Mireille waited until last, counting heads, making sure everyone who could be saved was saved. 4 Titans didn't make it. Their bodies lay in the plaza, surrounded by the black growth already consuming them. Mireille jumped for the last transport just as a massive Vryn organism grabbed her ankle. She fell, hanging from the ship's ramp by her fingertips. Below, the creature pulled, trying to drag her back down. "Mireille!" Jinho's voice came through her communicator. He was in the transport somewhere, watching. "I'm okay," she grunted. Her fingers were slipping. Taeyang appeared at the ramp edge. He grabbed her arm with both hands and pulled. Behind him, 3 other Titans added their strength. Together, they hauled her up. The Vryn organism's grip broke, and it fell back into the mass of its kind. The transport door closed. They were safe. For now. Mireille lay on the floor of the transport, breathing hard. Her whole body hurt. She was covered in wounds that would take weeks to heal, even with her enhanced biology. But she was alive. They were alive. Jinho found her a few minutes later. He was carrying medical supplies, though there wasn't much he could do for injuries this large. He sat down next to her head, his tiny body dwarfed by hers. "You did it," he said. You saved them. 3 million people got out because of you. 4 of us didn't make it, Mirai said. Her voice was rough. 4 people I was supposed to protect. You can't save everyone. You can only do your best. Jinho pulled out a cloth and started cleaning the blood from her face. It was a pointless gesture. The cloth was too small to do much good, but Mirai appreciated it anyway. But your best saved millions today. That matters. Mirai closed her eyes. She could still see the faces of the 4 titans who hadn't made it, could still hear their voices during training. Do I still look human? She asked quietly. What? That's what I asked when you first woke me. Do I still look human? I'm asking again, after everything I just did, after all that violence. Do I still look human to you? Jinho was quiet for a long moment. Then he put down his cloth and looked at her, really looked at her. At her face covered in wounds she got protecting people, at her hands that had held back nightmares, at her eyes that held tears for those she couldn't save. Yes, he said finally, you look like the most human person I've ever met. Humans protect each other. Humans fight for those who can't fight for themselves. Humans adapt, survive, and refuse to give up. That's you, Mirai. That's exactly you. Mirai opened her eyes. Tears ran down her cheeks. Thank you. For what? For reminding me. The battle for New Incheon was just the first. The Vryn kept coming, and the Titans kept fighting. More volunteers joined, inspired by Mirai's example. The war lasted 3 years, but humanity held. Barely. The cost was terrible, but they survived. And when it was finally over, when the Vryn retreated back into deep space, defeated by a species they had underestimated, Mirai stood on a hill overlooking Earth. She had survived the war. So had Jinho, Hana, and Daeho. So had Taiyang and Suhi and dozens of other Titans. They were heroes now, humanity's defenders. But Mirai didn't feel like a hero. She just felt tired. Jinho found her on the hill. He had built a special platform there, one where he could sit and talk to her without straining his neck. He climbed up and sat down, looking out at the same view she was seeing. How are you feeling? He asked. Lost, Mirai admitted. The war is over. I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. Whatever you want. You've earned that. Have I? Mirai looked down at him. I'm still different, still huge, still not normal. Normal is overrated. Jinho smiled. You're Mirai Song, the woman who saved humanity, who taught others to be strong, who never gave up even when everything seemed impossible. That's better than normal. Mirai was quiet for a while. Then she said, Do you remember the first thing I asked you? When I woke up? Do I still look human? Yeah. I don't ask that question anymore. Took me a while, but I finally figured out the answer. What is it? Mirai smiled. It was the first real smile Jinho had seen from her. I look human because I am human. Size doesn't matter, shape doesn't matter. What matters is the choices we make, and I choose to be human every day, no matter what. They sat together as the sun set over Earth. A tiny man and a giant woman, both of them human in the ways that mattered most, and somewhere in the city below, a museum was opening a new exhibit. It showed the metal band that had once covered Mirai's eyes preserved behind glass, a reminder of where she had started and how far she had come. The plaque beneath it read, From darkness to light, from captivity to freedom, from monster to hero, the journey of Mirai Song and the proof that humanity is not measured in size but in spirit. And every day, people came to see it, came to remember, came to understand that being human was a choice, and it was a choice worth making.